All right, guys. For my second video, I know a lot of you are probably just keeping snakes and not breeding snakes, so this information may not necessarily be really helpful to you. Just quickly aside, this is my female Cape York spotted python. She's going to be helping me for this video. Keep it relevant, you know. But some of us that do produce snakes have to ship out babies. And you can purchase a shipping kit through certain companies. Ship Your Reptiles is who I use for my shipping. I know that they offer the shipping kits. You can get a lot of supplies through them. I found the shipping kits are a little pricey, so I like to make my own. It is time consuming. In a perfect world, you know, if I had plenty of money, then I would probably go the shipping kit route because you get everything you need in one shot. So the things that I do, I go down, I have a local like Mail Mart type store. I get for hatchlings these 8x8x8 boxes. They're $1.25 a piece, and I'm in a fairly expensive area, so I would imagine you could probably find those even cheaper. So that's the box. Then of course you can use deli cups or bags. I use bags. So for hatchlings, I use a bag of this size. There's different sizes you can use. This particular one I got through TSK, and it's an 8x12. Works really well. One of the things I like to do when packing snakes up in these bags is take a couple pieces of paper towel, kind of crinkle it up and put it in there. One, it eats up some of that space to make them a little more comfortable and secure. And two, if they happen to pee in transit, you know, that'll absorb some of that as well. Obviously the bag's gonna take the brunt of it, but that'll just help keep them a little cleaner. So that's something that I do. And then of course, you'll need tape, which I get from the same place. Heat pack as well. You can get the bags, heat packs, things like that at your local reptile show, or you can order once again from TSK, which is where I get mine. You can buy them directly, I think, through Ship Your Reptiles as well, different companies. You want to make sure, though, when you're getting heat packs for shipping, that you use a reptile heat pack. These are Uniheat. They last for 40 hours. And the important part of that is a lot of people use the hot hands and things like that. Those aren't designed for these animals. They're not designed for the application that you're using them for. So they can have really, really high temperature spikes, whereas these are a controlled release of heat. So these are a lot safer. We'll put that up close so you can kind of see there what that is. So definitely, these are not expensive. Make sure that you use the appropriate thing. It can mean life or death for your reptile. Also, in a box like this, you're never ever going to use more than one heat pack. And one thing that you want to do is put the heat pack in a manner where the animal's not likely to make contact with it. Obviously, shipping isn't a perfect world. We can put this side up. It doesn't always happen. So we want to try to have as many fail-safes as we can. I always, because I'm using a box that I'm making myself, I'll write on there this side up on every single side. Per regulations for shipping now, you're supposed to have the species clearly marked on the box, so I put that on there. So for me, I'm typically shipping a lot of, you know, Python Brahmersmai, which are blood pythons, or Python Breitensteini, which is the Borneo short-tail pythons, or Python Curtis, which is the Sumatran short-tail pythons. So those are the three main things that I tend to be shipping. So I mark that on at least two sides of the box. I try to put it on all four. And what that's for is so that they know that it's a reptile in transit. They know what the species is, so that, you know, customs or anybody else knows right off the bat that it's legal, and they don't have to open it. That doesn't mean your package isn't subject to being open. That can happen, so you don't want to lie. You want to make sure you're putting the appropriate scientific name on there, which is what they want, not the common name. So that's something you're going to have to do. Buying that. If you ship through different shippers, I think you can even print labels through their site for stuff like that. But like I said, I do that myself. So the heat pack, the bag, the box. Now we want to insulate our boxes. So I use styrofoam. I use 3/4 inch styrofoam, and I purchased it like this in lengths. It comes in a package of 6 for about, I think it's like $18 or $20. I get it at Lowe's. And out of that, I can make, let me think, 6, 2, 4, 6. I get I believe I get 9 shipping boxes total out of that. So you're looking at about $2 a box plus your $1.25 charge. You know, the bag and the heat pack, say even if they're $2 a piece, which is high, I think I pay less than that. You're looking at a very inexpensive shipping box, whereas the kits can be a little pricey. So then what you do from there, obviously, is, you know, you're going to fold your box up, which I have one that's already folded, which is right here. And you want to tape it, of course. Now, one thing that I do when taping, just because, you know, this tape can fail, I'll run the length 3 times here. The first one in the middle to hold everything together, the 2 on the side. Then what I do for extra security, if you can see, is I go around the entire side of the box. So I'll lay it on its side like this, and I'll tape from, say, here, and I'll come across and go all the way around the box. At least a whole revolution, if you will. And that just keeps that other tape in place from popping up or opening up, because you don't want this box to come open in shipping. Like I said, in a perfect world, things are handled gently. I worked at FedEx. It doesn't always work that way. People have bad days. People throw packages around. Shipping reptiles is something that, especially having worked there and having friends that worked at UPS, makes me very nervous to ship, just because I know how things can go. So what we have to do is try to protect our animals as best we can. So what I do with these pieces of styrofoam is I cut them up, obviously, to fit the box. So these boxes are 8 by 8 by 8. So what I do is I cut 2 pieces that are 8-inch square, like this, and that's going to be your bottom and top of the box. So you slide these in here, and I like to get it nice and tight to the bottom, make sure it's flat and square, like that. We'll put the top aside, obviously, till last. And then the next pieces that I cut are 8 inches to go the length of the box, and they're 6.5 high. Now, the reason for the 6.5 high is we're using 3/4 inch styrofoam, and the box is 8 inches. So the bottom and the top is going to take up 1.5 inches, 3/4 times 2. So the 6.5, 8 minus that 1.5 inches gets you to 6.5. So that's going to go in, you know, the one side. Now, to make these boxes extra secure, another thing that you can do, I'm not used to doing this with one hand, is I will, you know, pull them open here. I'll put a piece of tape, you know, 2-sided, roll it over, and do that there so that stays in place. If it's cut perfect, it should fit and stay in place anyhow, but things happen, so it's always better to fail safe, as I said. Then we do the same thing on the other side. Sorry, darling, I'm gonna have to move you. So we do that over there to get our other side of the box. Oops, she's taking out the camera stand. That's why I started with her around my neck, but she decided to maneuver. So the last 2 pieces that I cut are 6.5 square. So that's the 6.5 for up and down, as we discussed, and the same thing from side to side now that we've added 1.5 inches worth of insulation. So this may not fit perfect because of the way I put this in there by one hand, but it should slide in. And I like it to be pretty tight because we don't want this to be moving around in transit, obviously. We want the animals to be nice and secure. So you can see we have 3 sides in so far. We've got the 4th left to go, which I'm going to put in right now. And you can use, you know, the tape trick, like I said, on all 4 sides if that's what you feel needs to be done. But as you can see, when it's done right, it holds in there pretty good. So eventually the top obviously would go on when we're done. One thing that I like to do to make it easier for the end user who I'm shipping to is I'll take my knife and I'll cut a little corner of this off. That way they can put their finger in there and pull the top out easily. So that's something that you don't have to do, but it's just something that makes their life a little bit easier. Now, when you're using a heat pack, and if you're shipping like I do through Ship Your Reptiles, if the temperature is going to be 70 degrees at any point along the way, whether it's the destination, the hub, or you know, where you're shipping from, you're not supposed to use a heat pack. And people will say, well, it's 45 degrees on this end, but it's 75 degrees on that end. She's shipping herself out, apparently. Snakes handle the cold a lot better than you would think. Reptiles in general. They're cold-blooded. They can handle it. Short periods of time, which is shipping, really shouldn't affect a healthy snake at all. So it's really not that big of a concern. We don't want them to get too cold, but exposure to those temperatures for a short period of time really isn't harmful to a healthy snake. So as long as you're shipping out healthy animals, it's not going to be a problem. Now, when you're attaching the heat pack, what I like to do is I like to take it obviously out of the bag, you shake it up, make sure it's working. If you're short on time, I open 2 heat packs and just make sure that it's working in case one doesn't work for some reason, which does happen from time to time. You have a backup ready to go. If you have plenty of time, a couple hours before you're going to be packaging up to ship, open the one, give it a half hour or so, see how it's heating. If it's not heating properly, then you can open another one and you have time for that. So what I do is I take some paper towel, and you know, once again, you got to imagine this heat pack's out of the bag. Just put her on top of my head for now. That's not going to last long. Then I take the heat pack and I'll wrap it up into the paper towel. And obviously this isn't an exact perfect example because of it not being in the package. And so I'm going to tape it to the top of the box. And I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to go all the way around this a couple of times. That way when it sets like this, it holds to the top. Heat rising, obviously it's going to keep towards the top of the box, but it'll keep this warm enough because of how we've lined it. Another thing that I do that I haven't done in this box yet, obviously, because we just constructed it, is I do put air holes in. You can take a screwdriver, a pen, something along those lines, and go right through. It's easier to go through the styrofoam first out of the box, but you can go both ways. And once you get it in there, I kind of bore it out a little bit, just rotate it around, just enough to get some air. So once your snake is in the bag, your heat pack's all set, the bag's gonna go in the box. Now there's a lot of space in here for a small hatchling. So I like to take either some crumpled newspaper, you could use paper towels, some people use packing peanuts, some people use different things. And you're gonna put that inside the box, kind of loosely around the animal, so the animal's sitting there comfortable, but if the box rotates, it has that extra cushion of not only the styrofoam lining that we put in, but it has that additional support of that other paper in there. Plus, if the box gets jostled a little bit, everything absorbs a little bit more of the impact, and it makes it that much safer for the animal, which is our ultimate goal, is to have that animal arrive not only alive, but arrive, you know, as least stressed as we can possibly have it. Some animals ship really well and it really doesn't seem to bother them at all. Others, it does stress them out quite a bit. So everything that we can do to make their journey more comfortable is that much better of a chance that they're not going to be stressed out. And that is our goal. And then the person that's getting that animal on the other end has a much better chance of enjoying that animal much sooner. And when you do get a new animal, you do want to let them settle in. Every animal is an individual. There is no X number of days or X number of hours or X number of weeks. Some animals will settle in really the same day. Some animals are going to take a month. So you really need to play it by ear, watch their body language, see how they are. Most snakes going into a new enclosure will explore right away, take a quick couple of cruises around, see what's going on. Some will continue to cruise for a while, some will settle right into a spot. Generally speaking, especially if you're not overly experienced with these animals, so you're not used to reading their day-to-day body language, I recommend at least a week to settle in. Offer food. If the animal eats, that's great. Still don't handle at that point. I mean, if you have to clean, obviously you do, but you're not handling to handle. You're going to move the animal quickly, clean its cage, put it back, or however it is that your cleaning regimen goes. But I like to have at least 2 consistent meals before I start any real handling. So at each week 1, say it's an animal we're going to feed weekly like most hatchlings. You feed it week 2. It takes, great. After you give it a few days to digest, then you can start working on handling with that animal. At that point, the animal's shown that it's established enough to be eating. And if you do start handling and you notice it pulls off of food, then you're going to want to drop that back down until you get consistent feedings again. Some people get caught up in the animal feeds once and they start handling and then the animal doesn't eat for them again. You want to establish a routine and make sure that animal's consistently feeding and consistently stress-free, or as stress-free as we can make them. Any questions on this, throw it on the video and I'll try to answer it. A little piece of styrofoam on there. And we'll keep doing more and more videos for you guys. At some point I'll try to get a schedule where I'll do a video at X number of days of the week, and as people subscribe and follow and start to watch these videos, maybe I'll do some live stuff and things like that. As always, I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to criticism, whatever it is you got. Bring it on. Shirt I'm wearing in case anybody's interested. Matt Minatola, Philly Herpetoculture. Awesome guy, awesome snakes. He does short-tailed pythons, blood pythons. He's got a couple other species, some retics. different stuff. So if you're into that kind of stuff, he's a guy to check out as well. So we will see you again soon. Thank you guys. Much appreciated.